Okay, welcome back to the channel everybody. It's Mike Newton down here at Penrith Golf Hub, and we've got another brand new review for you. In this particular video, it's Callaway. We've just recently done the big Bertha B21 drive, which was very impressive. If you've not watched that, make sure you go and check that out. Some very impressive numbers with that, to be fair. I was very surprised with that particular club. So I'm intrigued now to try the iron, so the big Bertha B21 iron. So very big appearance, it's chunky, it's what Callaway is saying their most forgiving iron, the fastest ball speed, the highest ball flight that they are offering in their iron hole family. So we're going to test it. Obviously we've got TrackMan on the floor, give you some data as well as my feedback on the performance and the looks of this particular club. Okay, so big Bertha B21 iron. First impressions, it's big. Very wide sole, the widest sole that Callaway are offering out of any of those irons, and the biggest offset as well. That's the first thing that jumps out to me, and as many of you watch my videos, I'm not a great fan of offset, but I understand it's there for a reason, and it's there to try and maybe help club face to try and square up. So we saw with the driver a very draw biased golf club, waiting in that heel, sat a little bit sort of toed in a little bit closer, really helping those golfers to reduce that left to right shape. And we said that I hit it very straight, so I was quite impressed with that particular club. Did go slight left, but not as much as I thought it would do, to be honest. But with the iron, you know, with that offset, there is a lot of offset there. That leading edge is set back a long way from that front of that hosel there, so very pronounced sort of kink in the neck there as you would look at it. Some golfers might not mind that, some might be put off, but again, it's there for a reason. It just helps to try and get this club face squaring up. Top edge is very thick, so we've got a big chunky top edge, and it's not massively big from heel to toe, so it's not a long blade length there. I thought this might be a little bit longer, but definitely you can see some beef behind that golf ball, basically. Okay, so we're going to get this first shot hit underway, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the technology and what's sort of happening in this particular club. Okay, touch low in the club face, but it's come out very straight, which is good. A little bit bottom couple of grooves, wasn't the perfect of strikes there. 124 ball speed, carrying out at ones. Ooh, look at that spin, 6.2. Was a little bit low in the face. Be interesting to see where that spin settles. Wasn't expecting that. Typically, you know, this is a 7-iron, 29 degrees of loft, so it's in that strong bracket. Sometimes we would see some low spin numbers associated with that type of loft, but it'd be interesting to sort of see where that spin sits. I think the big thing for me with offset, and this is a question I get asked quite a lot with golfers during maybe coaching sessions but also fitting sessions, is how do they line that blade up? So when that offset comes in, sometimes it looks like you want to sort of close the face a little bit more, which obviously creates then more angles in around that sort of hosel as you present it down. And I'm a little bit like that at the moment. I'm trying to feel like that toe end of the leading edges sort of line up with a hosel, which obviously I play a blade, there's minimal offset, so I sort of see that straight line running from the hosel right the way through that leading edge into the toe, whereas this is obviously set back, so it's just having that confidence that I can set that leading edge square and not let it sort of sit toed in. But having said that, maybe the golfer who's looking in this particular iron is probably a left to right fader, maybe a slice with the golf ball, so towing that in a little bit probably isn't going to be a bad thing for them in terms of trying to reduce that that rightness. That's a better strike. A bit more up that club face, very high ball flight. Again, it's come out very straight. So touching 127.5 ball. That spins much lower on that particular one, 205 carats, so it's getting out there. So we've got like a sort of satin finish on the club here, which is quite nice, so no real high gloss or high polished chrome sections, all sort of satin. We've got a big sort of badge in the back section there, which I'm guessing is going to help a lot with sort of sound and acoustics here. And it does sound obviously quite clicky, that you'd expect this type of iron to sort of sound against maybe like a forged iron, obviously, but it's not loud, it's not too brash there, which I always think is a good thing. We've got tungsten sort of weight in that back section, which you can see there is actually on show. Again, that's pulling that CG down low, so helping with trying to get the ball launching and trying to get that ball up into the air a little bit more easily. see that's a little bit of that left one. That's the one that I feel like I'm going to get more with that offset. Obviously that ball speed just popped up a tiny bit more, slightly closing that club face, and it goes long as he's 216 yards. Carry spins drop massively, ball speed's gone up. That's where you're going to see that extra distance there. But the problem maybe for there that I would like to sort of see on the golf course is that's gone long and left. Some golfers again aren't possibly too worried on that. They just want to get that ball out there. And again, a little bit up that left side. Wasn't as bad as that last shot hit. Touched up the left. Wasn't quite as good a strike. But I tell you what, ball speed's good again. I wouldn't say 130 ball speed there. I didn't feel like I flushed that, to be fair. So we can see the height there, 116 feet. It's coming out pretty high, isn't it? So there's no issues of getting that ball up in the air. Now, granted, I've got a bit of club head speed, so it's going to be easy for me to get that ball flighted than maybe somebody with a slower swing speed. But again, with that tungsten deep in that head, a lot of weight in that very wide sort of sole is going to really help to get that ball elevated. So the other big sort of talking point with this particular iron is we've now got AI face, that artificial intelligence, the face. So obviously behind the club here, it's like that sort of rippled, uneven sort of look behind the club face, which is obviously creating different sort of hot spots around that club face as you may be moving that strike around. So, you know, with the artificial intelligence, this supercomputers, they originally called it, the Callaway, they've done a lot of feedback from multiple golf shots hit by variants of levels of golfers and where that strike is around that club face, and trying to create better ball speed off all those different places around that face. So ultimately it's trying to make the club more forgiving, isn't it? You know, how much ball speed does it add? Again, it's a very difficult one to sort of measure, but you know, we've got to maybe trust that it's going to help as much as you possibly can as you would move this strike. Possibly if the type of golfer maybe using this might just move the strike a little bit more than a different type of golfer. Again, that's a good strike. It's up that left. That's just the one, I think, with that offset there. But I get how, you know, that's going to help a lot of golfers out there. So getting 129 ball speed. Okay, so there's some shots. It's obviously, it's not a look that I would really sort of desire, but I can see how that's going to help a lot of golfers, give us a lot of confidence with that bulkier sort of head offset in terms of trying to get the club face square to reduce that fade, that slide. I understand that, and seems to be sort of doing that for me. So let's check some numbers out in a little bit more detail and see how that big Bertha iron is performing. So if we just have a quick look at the side on and a bird's eye view of those shots I've hit, so we can see, you know, peaking up to, you know, a decent sort of height there, and we can see, you know, the three sort of straight ones and the two more up that left hand side, which as I mentioned, it feels like I'm going to get those shots a little bit more just with that offset. And then when we look at the numbers, we can see typically club head speed sits around that sort of 90 mile an hour mark for me, which is typical. Ball speed at 128, so it's in that faster bracket, typically that 29 loft area. These types of sort of game improvement irons, I do find I get my ball speed up to around that 128, touching 129. You can see a couple of hotter ones there in that 130 sort of mark. You see that first shot I hit was the weaker one, a little bit low in the face. It has dropped a little bit of speed there, hasn't it? Spin at 5235. Again, we would expect that to be in that lower bracket. You can see the low in the face one, pop my spin up a little bit more, sort of recovering that low ball flight through the missed strike. And one slightly up the club face, you can see drop off quite a bit. So averaging on the carry number there at 205, so it's obviously getting out there with that ball speed. That lower spin is what will pump that number up a little bit more. Okay everybody, so there we go. There's the big Bertha B21 iron from Callaway. So availability of these are available from a 4-iron all the way through to lob wedge. So 4-iron to pitch, gap, sand and lob in right hand. In left hand, they're available from 4-iron all the way through to sand wedge. So there's no lob wedge available for you left-handers, but apart from that, everything else is available in left hand. Obviously, there's a few different shaft options that you'd probably want to go and get fit for, different weights, different flexes, different kick points suiting your sort of speed and your club delivery. And also then you've got your lie angles, grips and everything like that. So obviously we can get these fully custom built to your spec, which again will influence a lot of your shots down that range. So trying to maybe limit a certain miss that you've got going, then obviously that makeup can also influence that, as well as what the head's trying to do with that offset and everything like that. So as my message to you guys, as always, is please go and get fit and test these before you buy. Okay, appreciate watching the video as always. Comment on the comment section down below. B21 irons from Callaway, is that something you would want to go out there? Are you trying to stop that right miss? Have you been custom fit? Because that lie angle is also another massive influence to where that club face points and will help with shot direction control. So a fitting is also as important as the technology that we may be seeing in the head as well. So comment down below, let me know if you've been fitted, and if so, what's your lie angle and why you've gone into that particular lie angle. I'd love to hear your thoughts as always, and your experience of custom fits is always good to sort of hear. So thanks for watching the video, appreciate watching as always. If you haven't subscribed, just hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and hopefully I'll catch up with you all very soon.